Hello and welcome to yet another cast. For you today I have a custom 4v4 played on Seton's Clutch, the all infamous map, and also just realized average ratings for both teams at 2050, so very well balanced. But we have team 1 up in the north, team 2 down in the south, and let's start with the air position of team 1. In red, going Seraphim and opening first land, we have Folly. Then, to the west of that, on the beach slot, in not burgundy red, no, that's definitely not red. In regal purple, that is what I usually call the color. We have Insidious Noob going UEF, opening first land, as already pointed out, on beach. Then to the south of that, on the front slot, already moving mid, we have Windex in white, going Seraphim, opening first land. And to the east of that, in grey, on the rock slot, opening first land, second air, we have Truth going Cybran. Right. 1 second, please. Very sorry, I have a really bad cough right now for some reason. Anyway, let's go to the southern team. On their air slot, to start with that again, in burgundy red, this is actually burgundy red this time, we have a VIP going UEF, opening first land. To the east of that, in blue, dark blue to be precise, we have Isoman Rathstow or something like that. A name that I have struggled with last time they have been casted, so I will just go back to referring to them by Isoman or Iso or something like that, because I can actually pronounce that. Anyway, they are in dark blue, as already pointed out, on the beach slot, and going UEF, opening first land. To the north of that, in this dark grayish green, or well, yeah, I don't know what else to call it, we have Tursto in Aeon, going Aeon, opening first land, unsurprising for the front player. And last but not least, in the normal, slightly darker green color, we have Delhi, also going UEF, and I think that was first air due to the positioning of the air factory right here, because I think this land factory is a bit too far out to have been placed first. However, not sure at this point. Might also have been first land. But the transport for Delhi already out, right here, grabbing the side island. In parallel to that, we also have the transport out here for Truth, getting the island drop as well. Now, about Seton's Clutch, I know most of you will be already aware of that, but, well, 2 teams, big causeway in the middle. Land players usually go mid to collect a very large amount of reclaim here, as you can see. To support them, usually the beach player is, will also move their ACU in to support their respective front players, and also just to grab some of that juicy reclaim. Then you have these side islands right here off the coast of the rock players, which will usually at around 3 minutes drop these, as we have seen. Those pose 5 maxes. Sometimes the beach player will try to deny the drop. I'm not sure if that happened here, but if it did not succeed. And yes, grabbing those 5 maxes will give a bit of an eco advantage to the rock player usually. Other thing, they are called rock players because, well, there are a bunch of rocks on this cliff edge right here. And I guess also because they are on the cliff edge. But yeah, those rocks are a bunch of reclaim that can get up the rock player's eco a bit faster. The rock slot being kind of a carry eco slot. Due to, well, additional 5 maxes right here, some nice reclaim right next to the base, and thus the ability to eco up relatively fast. Then air players in the back, these will usually go for a T3 air rush, completely leaving T1 and T2 air to their teammates, which allows T3 air by around 9 to 10 minutes, depending on how optimized the build is. Since this is very high rated, I would assume that we will be on the earlier end of that. And yes, I also got some Fort Maxes right here. But yes, that is the important stuff. Right, we have some ACU fighting going on in the middle. The ACUs of Torsto and Iceman firing onto the ACU of Insidious Nuke. Iceman just getting some juicy reclaim there. And Windex in the meantime just also sucking up some of that reclaim of the ACU and just leaving Insidious Nuke to their own devices. Some slight skirmishing going on right here as well between the Auroras of Torsto and some Thams out from Windex. But nothing too major there. Auroras also being used to very great effect. That's what I wanted to say there. Utilizing the superior range of the Aeon light tanks compared to the other main battle tanks, or to the main battle tanks of the other factions. Though it is important to keep in mind that while the Aurora has a higher range, it has significantly low HP with only 155. If we compare that to a Tham which has 280, yeah, that's a massive difference. Almost double the HP pool on the Tham. So the Aurora definitely reliant on its superior range. Torsto throwing up some PD right here, just to, I guess, put the position onto lockdown. And wait, isn't there also supposed to be a max somewhere here? Like, you have one max spot here, there should be... Yes, there is one right here. I am just blind, it has been claimed. Yeah. That's just a me moment, I guess. Being blind, not realizing that there's a max. Gun upgrade going out for Torsto. T2 upgrade going out for Windex, so I assume that we will see some early T2 PD forming on in this area, while Torsto will probably try to be more aggressive with the ACU. T2 PD pretty good at just denying that. But gun range has finished here, so gun speed on the way, since for the Aeon the gun upgrade, or the DPS and range upgrade, that all other factions get basically on the same upgrade. For the Aeon, that is split between 2 arms and 2 separate upgrades, which themselves are cheaper, so you can get the same pack as the other factions basically for the same price, or for a very similar price. But, well, you need to do 2 upgrades. However, it does leave options, especially early game options, for more versatility. Torsto also immediately going for a sheet upgrade. But T2PD now already started for Windex. The sheet upgrade will probably finish, as that is only around 10 seconds out. TOPD is already halfway done. It would be a very big waste to stop the sheet upgrade now. And it did indeed finish. But so did the PD, and now those units are getting, well, hit by that. Torsto immediately deciding to pull back due to the pressure from that. But getting some T2 land now onto the front in form of some blazes, and even some T2 engineers to, I guess, start counterfire basing. Now, naval production, unsurprisingly, has started. We have in the north some submarines out for Insidious Nuke, currently harassing the frigates of Delhi. In the south, we have a whole bunch of frigates out for Trith, with a relatively small naval force in comparison out for Izuman. And Trith going immediately for a T2 upgrade. A single frigate for Izumen did make it in, but that was already countered by 4 others, so that did not get far. But yes, at 9 minutes that is a very, very early T2 upgrade on Navy. Which just reminds me, at 9 minutes, we can actually look at how air's going, and unsurprisingly, VAP has achieved T3 air, currently building DP gen. And up in the north, T3 air also achieved for Folly, also working on a T3 P gen. And look, there's why so many rats though, and that's me. Well, welcome to stream, you. Oh, why so many rats though? Oh, the name actually makes sense now. I was so confused the last few times I have seen that. I think I will just shorten that to why so many rats. Something like that. I was so fucking confused last time I seen that name. Because I had no idea how to pronounce that. Yeah, no, that actually makes sense. Well, back to the game. We have a T1 bomber out for Windex. That is, well, yeah, I think it will probably get some engineers right here, maybe, or not. Ah, never mind, it's actually going for Max that has just achieved T2. I mean, to be fair, I assume that generally, especially the higher rated players, will just be known by the name that they primarily go by in the community, so it would make sense that you are mostly known as you. I hope I pronounced that correctly. But yeah, why so many rats is moving back onto their land slot, not land slot, onto their beach slot, into their base right here. Also now with T2 air finished, so maybe some top bombers coming out there later to, well, deal with the early T2 navy that came out from Truth. Well, currently not too much going on by the looks of it. I think it's a shot. I think the current, well, in a more passive phase gives me some time to look at the economies. Overall, Team 2 is ahead by around 50 to 40 mass. Right, more around 50 mass right now. Compared to the northern team. Highest eco at the moment seems to be Delhi at 171, followed by VIP at 144. Lowest eco, Torsto at 93. Second lowest Windex, so both front players very close in economies, and also each the lowest ecos on their respective teams. But yes, it's very noticeable where the mass lead of the southern team comes from, as most players on the southern team seem to be ahead of their of the players on the northern team. Especially Delhi, compared with Drith as the mirror matchup, ahead by around 50 mass now. Yeah, that is around 50 mass, which is not too surprising considering the fact Delhi is still completely at T1 Navy, if we look at this. So all the eco that they had earlier just went into, well, more eco, I assume. Yep, already a bunch of T3 maxes out. Or well, one finished, another one currently upgrading. Never mind, actually 2 finished. In the meantime, Trith, of course, went for the early T2 naval upgrade. So that will have delayed their eco progress and in turn puts them on the back foot a bit compared to the Southern Rock player. But let's see, how is Why So Many Rats eco looking? It's 161. Actually out-ecoing Truth as well. Though there is the tech mismatch in the southern point due to Dark Blue not having not actually having any T2 Navy at this moment in time. With Truth, well, as already pointed out multiple times now, having that T2 Naval factory. Right, we do have a TML now here very close to front for Windex, but has not gotten any kills. I just saw the missile flying, and it is indeed flying further. But there is already TMD in place, so that will not land. I guess it has been scouted, and thus will not actually cause any damage here. The best way to deal with that, or best way forward for that, is probably just to reclaim it, as I don't see that getting any value now. There were some T3 upgrades on ACUs that have been finished, for example for Delhi, who is currently working on their own T3 PJ. T3 now also going up on the ACU for VIP, who also already has RAS on it, which is, well, not sure if that is just normal now, might be. I would have expected them to go for T3 Maxes first before going RAS, as I thought that that would be more, well, mass efficient basically. But other than not having played in a long time, I'm also not nearly as high rated, so maybe there's reason to the madness. I don't know. But I assume, well, okay, yeah, Foley also on RAS. Currently also still on the in the process to get their T3 Maxes, so... Well, my assumption was that overall just going full T3 would be, especially in the core base, would be a better investment than going RAS to eco up further, but again, could be completely wrong here, and since they are currently going for the T3, since they have gone the route they have gone for, I assume that I'm just completely wrong here, because at this rating, something like that is definitely not a mistake. Something like that definitely happens intentionally. Now, not much going on. Sensors upgrade now on the way for Torsto. Just a big naval standoff going on. Let's see. Okay, there is now an upgrade straight to T3 Navy on the way for Delhi. Completely skipping the T2 stage, though. At 17 minutes and with basically full T3 maxes, T3 Navy is definitely a good investment. And I am aware that, especially on higher ratings, it is not uncommon for players to skip the T2 Naval phase. Especially if there is no real naval pressure going on, like it is currently the case on the map. Now, any attack currently going on here? Not by the looks of it, though there is a very large amount of build power massing around this naval factory, so I assume that we might see a DQ in this to be changed very soon. Maybe. Anything else that is of note? Well, no naval upgrade for Insidious Nope. The assailants for Truth have now started bombarding the forward fire base of Torsto. And with Torsto not actually having any T2 RT in that, and that will of course just be completely pummeled without having any ability to fight back, due to destroyers outranging T2 PD. But they reacted immediately by pulling their army back a bit, to a position where it can currently not be, well, pummeled to death by the naval fire. and also building another shield generator, which will, however, not defend any of this, any major parts of this firebase, except for the other shield generator, which I guess is fair. Why is so many reds moving in to with their T1 Navy to try and force Drift's Navy to pull back from the shoreline of the mid-causeway, I suppose? Taking a bunch of fire due to, well, being outranged by the T2 Navy, but in return preventing any more shore bombardment. Now, Naval attack also started or attacking actually started here now as well for them, and they do now have a T3 Naval HQ, which is immediately building a battlecruiser, a Atlantis, which will definitely be a good option as long as Drift is still at the T2 naval phase. Though, looking at that, Drift has just finished their own T3 naval HQ, so they and has already started building up battleships. The battlecruiser for the UEF really good at dealing with T1 and T2. Not so great against battleships due to, well, battleships having just higher range and also some incredibly high HP. But mostly just very high range. So properly microed battleships will always end up killing a battlecruiser. At least as long as there is actually room to properly keep a distance. Battlecruisers now also coming out for Delhi from the T3 HQ. There is now T3 just finished up for Insidious, immediately starting work on a summit. I guess they already noticed that their opponent is at T3, let's just check that. And yes, they have, so they will probably assume that, well, yeah, okay, to be fair, if they assume that Delhi is going for Neptunes, then battleships are the play because they counter the Neptunes. And if they assume that Delhi would be going for battleships, then battleships would still be the play out of the T3 factory in order to deal with that, because, well, it's the same faction, so same range, but battlecruisers wouldn't really be effective, as I already pointed out. They are countered by battleships. Large swarm of submarines out from Krith in the South Pond in the meantime, harassing the navy of Why So Many Rats, who does not have a submarine force large enough to properly counter that. Maybe a small force of Coopers would be a good idea to deal with that. But I see that there are already Coopers queued up in one of the naval factories right here, so... yeah, okay, they are queued up in multiple factories, so that is definitely the play that they are going for by the looks of it. It's just that the factories still take some time until they finish upgrading. Double-capped maxes have basically been put in place for most players now, basically all over the field. Even with big mass fab farms now starting right here. The idea behind those, you have one shield and you just cram as many mass fabs into the range of that shield as possible to get a shielded, basically just a shielded resource bank. I mean, it's super power intensive, but especially on settings where you usually see very large air grids that will have a very large amount of power overflow, I think it's acceptable. You can generally rely on your air player for overflow on settings, at least for power overflow. There may be exceptions if the air player goes for anything that's super power intensive. But yeah, no, those air grids are generally big enough to support mass fab farms for the teammates. S&D already out for volley. Is that in reaction to anything that I have not noticed? Does not look like it. And it also looks like the first SMD on the field right now. Yeah. Okay, there is however now SMD also coming out for Delhi. I just noticed. But yeah, currently not too much going on there, so... I mean, I guess better have it and not need it instead of needing it and not having it. Right. Navy for Weiser Minarets. Right here has pushed into the Bay Area in the Southern Pond, where Windex has started their own naval production. Even at T3 Navy now. The Naval HQ now under fire from the two battlecruisers. One of them went down to battleship fire. Let's see, there is now also battleships coming in for Torstow to support. So both land players getting involved in South Navy. But the HQ up here did die. So Southern team has the advantage right now in Southern Port due to having two players with Tech 3 Navy in the area to fight against Earth. Since the T3 Navy for Windex has been delayed significantly now, though they are working on a new HQ. Bunch of mass sent over to Insidious. Is Insidious doing anything sneaky that might need a lot of mass? Looking at chat, well, there are just lots of mass fabs. So maybe to just get up more eco. Maybe also to get out to supercharge their ability to build more navy. Maybe something like that. Since North Navy currently also, well, it's still very stagnant, so it's really hard for me to tell. Well, I count 5 battleships, 6 battleships right now, I think. How's it looking here? That's 3. Okay. So I think Insidious currently has the number on battleships. I think Insidious currently has overall numbers on Navy, to be fair. So they could probably push in, but they might also... I think they might have also more production. Yeah, no, they certainly have more production than their opponents, so... or more than Delhi. So the longer they keep this up, the larger their naval advantage will be. Unless, of course, Delhi starts mass building up more naval factories. Which, looking at Delhi's eco, might happen very soon. As they are currently still highest eco on the game, with over 680 mass income now. More than doubling the eco of some of the players with lower eco, like Windex, who is currently the lowest eco player. But let's look back at what's actually going on in terms of combat. We have now battleships duking it out in the southern pond between Trith and Weiser Minarets and Torstow. Trith bringing in a large number of top bombers. Well, okay, not a large number, but I'd say a significant number, which immediately gets mopped up by the Air Force of VIP. But those summit battleships definitely doing a number on the Cypher Navy of Trith by the looks of it. There are now also some Hawthorne Seraphim battleships coming in to support as well. So both front players now properly just invested into winning the naval game as well, which is also very typical for Seton's clutch that land players usually get involved with the well, losing a side on Navy, or at least a side that's losing harder. Still a lot of submarines out for Truth. But we do now see the Coopers for Why So Many Rats. That definitely, well, that definitely makes short work of those submarines. Now the fight right here does continue. Battlecruisers now also pushing in closer to actually get their beam weapons to fire, to actually utilize their DPS. Battleships, but looks fit retargeting onto the battlecruiser. And it's also very nice to see all those bulwarks being properly utilized to keep those battleships properly shielded, as the bulwark does allow to get a bunch of additional HP onto your navy. I mean, roughly 5.5k per bulwark. The effective amount will be lower due to shield layering effects, which basically mean that something like half of the damage dealt to the upper shield, if you have multiple shields layered, gets transferred to the shield below that, and so on. So basically, you have diminishing returns for increasing the number of shields covering an area. While it will still be worth it to have more shields, the more shields are layered, the less effect each new shield will have. But a lot of damage being done. Truth moved in the tridents, or their frigates and submarines, to try and force Why So Many Rats back. But the Coopers are now coming in. The battlecruisers very effective at dealing with the frigates due to their beam weapons. And those Coopers having very, very potent torpedoes, really, really good at dealing with submarines. And with that, primarily T1 Naval Force with the supporting Barracudas gets completely wiped. Well, currently everything seems to be focusing onto the frigates, but... okay, some Barracudas also getting killed off. Currently there's a nuke, and it's firing from up here. There is one nuke launcher out here for Folly. Actually, a second one right here. So Folly already with 2 nuke launchers. Interesting. A third one already on the way, so I guess gameplay for Folly right now is just nuke spam. And this nuke seems to be going after the side island right here with, well, that's 5 T3 maxes that are double capped. So that is, well, 27 times 5 plus also plus 40, because 5 times these 81 mass fabs. That is a lot of mass. But the nuke lands. Okay, it actually lands right here on the shore, so these 2 maxes do stay alive. That's at least nice. That's good to see. And let's go down back south. Let's see what's going on here. Well, Navy for Why So Many Rats and Toasto is now pushing forward, slowly forcing the navies of Truth and Windex back, as they do seem to be outnumbered and outgunned, just in terms of battleships. The other side advantage, of course, is that the Summit does outrange the Galaxies, or the Galaxy-class battleships, and also the Harpoon battleships. Basically, the Summit outranges every naval unit except for the Tempest, which has the same range as the Summit. If that has not been changed, which I'm pretty sure it hasn't, so I think both still have a range of 150. Though the range is not being utilized too much right now, it is still something to keep in mind. With some, with some more, advanced micro, I guess, you can technically outgun or just outrange a lot of battleships. Though, if you do need to move while you do so, you run into the issue that only one of the turrets on the summit can fire backwards. Right, second nuke from Folly goes out. And this one is, by the looks of it, going after... Well, looking at the trajectory, that is roughly like that. And that seems to be going straight for the naval production of Delhi. Possibly targeted right at the HQ right here. Taking out Folly's capabilities to actually produce anything beyond Tech 1 Navy. With the exception of naval units that have already been started to be built. Those will continue. But looking at how this is going to land, it will definitely take out the T3 factory as well. So Delhi will be stuck at building T1 Navy right now. And this one bulwark that has just finished. Well, I guess they will have to rebuild their HQ now. Truth to that, I assume now unable to spend their mass, sends some over to VIP. Another nuke flies, I think. Ah yeah, there it is. Right, from this nuke launcher up here. This one is flying south, and at this trajectory it is most likely VD nuke intended to take out the flotilla of Weiser minarets right here. And that's 3. Might take out 6 battleships and possibly some battlecruisers. Well, it was 4 battleships, I think. Still, that is a lot of mass. Anything of interest going on? And yes, there is. VIP is building a Naval, and already halfway done with one. I don't think we have any game ender play out from the northern team, as Folly just spent their mass onto a whole bunch of nuke launchers, which can still cause a lot of damage, but at this stage there will be a lot of SMB. Yep, this one's already loaded twice, and with that it will be difficult for those nuke launchers to actually break through. And I think if the southern team realizes that, or comes to the conclusion that they do not have enough SMB, they will just build more, so... Generally, mass nuke is comparatively easy to counter, if you compare it to artillery fire, because, well, against artillery you need shields. With T3RT you usually can still defend against it, because you don't tend to need that much shielding and shield assisting to deal with that. But for game enders like a Naval, that is an entirely different story. You will need a lot more shielding. It is definitely doable, but it is a bit of a challenge. Right. VIP looks fit, wiping out some ASF for Folly. Not the primary Air Force though. At least not yet. Folly keeps the ASF back for now, but is forced to pull back the top bombers that were utilized to help out their teammate Treth. Another nuke flies, this time out of the nuke launcher that's up there. And this one is flying Well, let's follow that down. I think it might be going after the naval factory, after the naval production factories right here. For why so many rats? Well, there is definitely a nuke that has been targeted onto this. Right now, the first one is actually targeting the naval production of Torsto, taking out the HQ and a support factory, leaving one support factory that is currently still building a battleship. Second nuke flies, and yeah, that will most likely hit right here. I think quite so many rats might be in the blast range of that. We'll have to see about that. We just witnessed another battleship going down here, just due to the intense fire from all of these omens. And never mind, the nuke did not actually land because completely missed that the SMD for Wise Mini Rats is placed right on the shoreline, meaning that those naval factories are actually protected. They cannot be shot down that easily. Now let's take a look at Northern Navy, because we did neglect that for a bit. By looks of it, that has completely collapsed by now, with Delhi being pushed back significantly. Battleships now also in the water for volley. And another nuke flies in and is about to completely annihilate Delhi's naval production once again, including the HQ. And there it goes. But Delhi currently completely outnumbered when it comes to battleships. I don't think they are currently fielding a singular battleship. They do have one battlecruiser at this moment, but that is all of the Tier 3 Navy that they have. And they don't have any Tier 2 Navy either. So currently definitely in a very, very bad position. Another battlecruiser did just finish. That is trying to deal with the Thunderheads right here. But, well, there are battleships incoming. And I think that Northern Navy is lost for the Seton team right now. Meantime, more top bombers utilized up here, or attempted to be utilized. However, VIP is still with the Air Force in the area. Basically makes any attempted air support a very, very risky play. But yeah, battleship fight continues. More battleships going down. Let's just take a look at the reclaim, and oh god. That is indeed a lot of reclaim. But there are already engineers dispatched to collect all of that. At least in the northern part. Not sure how it's looking here. Oh, there is also a big wreck right here that could be collected. And okay, yeah, there are engineers on the front line reclaiming. So that is also being collected. Right, large numbers of T1 factories, or naval factories, just placed down to produce a lot of T1 engineers. So reclaiming is definitely, or reclaim is definitely being collected in the area. And looking at the reclaim numbers, yes, both Insidious and Why So Many Rats have done a large amount of reclaiming. Why So Many Rats at over 100,000 mass reclaimed, Insidious Snoop at over 144 mass reclaimed, 144,000, sorry. Which technically is also over 144, but not where I was trying to go. I do hear a chicken, and yes, there is a chicken in the in the middle now, walking down the, well, middle, into the base of Torsto. The Maver did finish, and it is lobbing its shells over a very, very long range from that very, very sizable, well, barrel. those very, very large explosive payloads. And by looks of it, that did basically destroy the main base of Folly. I think that might even have destroyed the HQ.
Strategic launch detected.
Yes, I think it did. Never mind, there are still T3 engineers being built, so there must be an HQ somewhere else. Because I'm pretty sure you also need an HQ to build T3 engineers. That's one of the things that does tend to confuse me a little bit, because I think there were versions where you didn't. I still somewhat remember that, but I think there were also ones where you did, so... so I'm not on the... Well, I'm not up to date on that. It might be that for that you can also have an HQ of a different type, because there's still the T3 Naval HQ for Forley. Let me just... Yeah, okay, they can only build engineers out of that. Right. I think that might be due to the Naval HQ, because it technically provides the blueprint for the T3 engineer, as it is a higher tier HQ. And maybe that's the way it's handled, I don't know. But maybe now completely collapsed for Truth. Truth using some Psychos to desperately throw up a bunch of harms. The torpedo ambushing systems of the Cyberon, basically super torpedo launchers. The torpedo launcher equivalent of the UEF Ravagers, basically. One of the annoying parts about the harm is that it is actually submerged. Though it is though it is still flat enough in the water that you can just ground fire it. But it makes it very annoying to still kill, because, well, those things throw out ridiculous amounts of torpedoes, and being submerged won't be automatically targeted by anything that only has, well, surface guns. You need stuff of torpedoes to auto-target. I think I just saw another nuke. Yes, there's another nuke, this time flying over the middle. Right, it looks like the SMD for Toaster went down. There is a large number of gunships here now. They seem to have taken out the chicken, but that does allow a nuke to land. And land it does. Though, to be fair, that base was about to die to battleship fire anyways. But Delhi now completely naval locked, the side island actually claimed by Insidious Noob. So that is a bit problematic. Battleships now firing into the base of Delhi as well. And the Seraphim aircraft carriers also just lobbing missiles into the area, since, yes, Seraphim aircraft carriers do have missiles. They have that one small hole in the back that throws out missiles for long-range fire. The Seraphim aircraft carrier basically just being a super cruiser, or a very, very big cruiser. Since, well, it fulfills the role of amazing AA that the cruiser gives. It has the high intel range, which you also get for cruisers on T2, and it has missiles. So you can't convince me otherwise. Seraphim aircraft carriers are super cruisers. Right, Naval is continuing. There are no Novaxes started for VIP. Let's see what's going on here. A Novax has also been started for Insidious Noob. And the Naval just picked off the AC of Folly. I just about saw that with Folly walking past. And yeah, there goes the ACU. Naval, on that note, deals a shit ton of damage and is completely capable of taking out an ACU with one shot. So, yes, if there is a Naval firing into the general direction where your ACU is standing, get your AC out of there, because, well, it's not as accurate as it is in base game. Like, nowhere near as accurate. it still can cause heavy damage, as you just saw. A lot of the ASF actually dying to Naval fire. And not because they are landed, but because they are flying overhead catching the Naval shells. Interesting thing about Supreme Commander is that basically all projectiles are fully simulated, meaning that they can just collide with units in the air. So the Naval will just, well, or any artillery piece can collide with fighters and stuff like that. And thus, technically, fighters can block artillery fire in this game. Main base for Delhi has now completely crumbled to, well, the large number of battleships on the shoreline. Sekus made their way to the shore area right here. I guess for reclaim purposes. A similar development is now going on the shoreline of Bundex and Trith in the southern port, with a very large number of Coopers now out for why so many rats that just annihilate all of the submarines that have been built up by Windex. And the cycles in the water that also have been built up by Windex. And even... never mind, I thought the battleships were actually Northern Team's battleships, but no. Those belong to Thursto, so never mind, yeah. There is no longer any navy in the southern front for the Northern Team. There are some engineers, but no longer any naval units. Mass torp bombers attempted by... or not mass torp bombers, but use of torp bombers again, attempted by Trith. However, those battleships are now sufficient that their AA power can basically take that out, and there are also a bunch of cruisers that will just provide additional AA fire, like actually competent AA fire as well. Bunch of transports with T3 engines and the ACU for Thursto now moving on to make a landfall right here. To, well, I guess, make a land incursion. Though, I think they need to be a little bit more careful, as we do have a chicken and a monkey lord right up here, threatening the area. So, if Thursto is not careful enough, those might just walk in and take out the ACU. And there are SAMs in the area, so getting a transport in there will be, well, it's not going to be impossible, but it is going to be very risky. There is a air was flying for Trith. It has not killed anything. I'm not sure where that is going. Right, Novak's just flying around, taking out a lot of different stuff. Okay, the Novak Center for Insidious has apparently been taken out by the Mava, I suspect. And the Mava retargeted onto the area up here. Okay, big land incursion started for Insidious with a lot of T1 land factories, just mass producing Lobos. It's very typical that land incursions like this do happen with T1 RT, since T1 RT, basically all T1 units are pretty cheap to produce, but T1 RT deals a lot of damage. And, well, you generally expect to interact with buildings that will always just be damaged by that stuff, instead of, you know, mobile units and stuff like that, so... yeah. Overall, T1 RT basically has, I think, the best DPS at T1, just with the downside of being artillery and indirect fire. While talking about that, there was a big airfight going on right here, or technically it still is going on, which seems to be won by Trith. However, they did lose the Owasa in the process, since VIP just dived onto that, taking that out. And Trith needs to be a lot more careful in the area. Fully pointing out, they need to, they are currently just killing off the air because, well, that is just going on over a large battery of SAMs now, while they kept the ASF. not the place where you want to keep your ASF, to be fair, over enemy SAMs. And right, something I can say, I usually check my replays before I cast them, just like this one. So I was aware of some stuff like the Naval up here, or, well, the Norvex spam that is currently developing here, as there is more Norvex being built up by VIP. What I did not notice when checking the replay, which I just now noticed, is that there's actually a second Naval, this one built up by Why So Many Rats. Did not even realize that there were two Navals this game. And also just Norvex spam now for Why So Many Rats as well. Though I think they do have the economy for that. And they certainly do. With over 900 mass income, they can definitely afford that. Right, yeah, of course, they got the side island, they have large amounts of reclaim to further and just supercharge their economy. So, yeah, should not be too surprising. But with that, I don't see any real way that the northern team can win this, as the southern team currently has the capabilities to just hold their line due to the gunships and large PD banks to stop the global spam, or general T1 RT spam, as there are also no series coming in. So the northern team would need something to snipe the southern team's well, assets, ACUs, standoff technology, stuff like that. Because right now, unlike a lot of the other cases where I tend to usually explain why a standoff technology is not the play to go for, the southern team does have the capabilities to actually hold onto their territories right now, or mostly hold onto it, only maybe slowly losing it, as there are no Klinkhammers coming out for Insidious Nuke. But overall, yeah, southern team can hold onto their territories, especially Why So Many Rats, since they have completely won their navy. Land is, well, due to the absolute naval crush on both sides by the opposing teams, any land push would be suicidal by either team, as just shore bombardment could take out anything there. So there is currently no major threat for Why So Many Rats in their base. And that neighbor, due to that, will just stay alive. There's no standoff tech left for the northern team. So yes, one of the rare cases where I can actually say standoff technology was not a stupid idea to go for. Now we do have a chicken pushing in for Windex on the side right here. But even in this case, there is something to deal with that. A very, very large force of gunships right here. Okay, mass nukes start flying by Insidious Nuke, who has built up a large force of Ace nuclear submarines. That are 4 nukes, which are, by the looks of it, flying after the Naval. A Owasa tries to headbutt into the SMDs, and one of them does go down, but all nukes get shot down, though I think one of the nukes actually took 3 missiles to be shot down. Because of the weird arcing that the SMDs do tend to have, where the SMD missile basically gets into a turn and does not have the turn rate to actually intercept the missile properly, meaning that it will just stay in a endless spiral of doom until the missile it was targeted dies to either lands or gets killed off by another SMD. Something that is surprisingly common to happen. But we do see some control Ks now coming out. Insidious control Ks here. Control K going out for Truth right here. And I think Windex just recalled, so with that, Seton team does end up winning this. And honestly, I can definitely see why they decided that they did not want to continue this, because, like, map control wise, it is pretty even. Arguably, the northern team is actually ahead on map control. And the only problem that they have, and it is a major problem, due to the actual investment into standoff tech from the Seton team in form of, well, 2 Mavers. This one actually got actually got a rank of veterancy by getting that many kills, as well as just the Novak spam. I mean, we have 5 finished Novaks at this point in time, with 2 more under construction for VIP. And I think 2 Novaks is currently... Yep, 2 Novaks is out for Wise and Mini Rats at the end of the game. With all of that standoff technology, it would have been impossible for the Northern team to actually utilize the map control they had, because establishing anything on the map, well, it gets hard when your enemy is just shooting that from from across the map, where you don't have... Well, you can shield it technically, but at some point your enemy will just reach critical mass of Novaxes, and as I pointed out earlier, shooting against Mavers is very hard. So yeah, there was no real way to hold on to the... Well, never mind, they could hold on to their map control, but they couldn't utilize it for anything except just for having it, which isn't really useful. Map control is only useful, usually is only useful because you can just develop it to place down nexus, get mass fab farms, build power, all that kind of stuff. General economy. But yeah. I hope you enjoyed this cast. This was streamed live on Twitch. Link to that will be in the description. If you did enjoy it, maybe leave a like, or don't. Can't force you. But yeah, if you want to be notified when more casts like these do come out, there should be one per week, always on Wednesdays. At least Wednesdays for me. I'm not sure how that looks in other time zones. I think especially that time zones that are like ahead in time of me by a significant margin might be on Thursdays. Yeah. Because I usually upload on, as you might be aware, at 4 PM at European time, or European Central Time. Well, local time, which currently is Central European Summer Time. So, yes. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed, hope to see you again in a future cast, and till then, bye!